Hi everybody and welcome to Finnegan Farm Homestead. Today is March 2nd, 2022, and if you follow Planting by the Signs, today is one of the few days this March that are really good for starting seeds and doing gardening and stuff like that. For whatever reason this year there aren't a lot of good days in the month of March, but today happens to be one of them, and it's early enough that we're going to look at planting some peppers. So I have my peat pellets here. Filled this all up with the peat pellets. You put about 5 1/4 cups of warm water in there and the pellets expand. This is how we're going to start our plants. So I've got 5 different peppers and there's 25 peat pellets in here. So we're going to put 1 in each one. So this first one we're going to do is a Hungarian yellow wax. This is from Livingston Seeds. And this one was actually packaged for 2021, but that should be fine. I'm going to open this up. And again, I start plants because a lot of times you can get different varieties that you can't necessarily find in your garden centers. Now, Hungarian yellow wax, you could probably find these okay, but I do have these seeds. So we're going to take these out and we're going to put 1 of each of these seeds into our peat pellets. You start peppers usually 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost date. We typically say Mother's Day around here is the time when it's kind of safe to plant outside, more or less. And we are just about 10 weeks out from that. So I'm just covering up the seeds here in these peat pellets. And then once this is all planted, I've got a plant heat mat down in the basement with a small light over it. So we're going to put this in, cover it up, and there's a cover underneath here. We'll put this down on the heat until these germinate, and then we'll keep them under the lights until we get going. But here's another one. So this one, and this one's one of the ones I'm talking about that, you know, I probably won't see this in any of the garden centers. This one's called Big Jim. This is a mild hot pepper, similar to the ones they grow in New Mexico, I think. So if you've heard people talk about hatch chilies, Big Jim is one of the varieties of these. These came from Baker Creek. So there are 5 seeds out. Again, we're going to drop 1 into each one of these peat pellets. And if any of these don't germinate, we'll save the extra seeds. Try to get another one in there. Peppers take a little while to germinate too, so which is why you kind of start them earlier. Tomatoes you can usually start, I think, about 6 weeks before your last frost date, but peppers you want to get a good jump on them 8 to 10 weeks ahead. So okay, next one is, this one's called Calgarita. I grew these last year. They're kind of an interesting shaped little hot pepper. They're about the same heat as a jalapeno. We made some sauce out of these last year. It was pretty tasty actually. And I also grew them, or am growing them, because I think they would be a good entry into the fair. We grew them last year and forgot to enter peppers in the fair. of all things, so we didn't get to put them in, but we'll get them in this year for sure. So again, covering them up. These are bright red. They have a really pretty red color. You couldn't see them on the package, but when we made the hot sauce, it was just a vibrant red color in the hot sauce. Okay, next one, shishitos. So we've been seeing these a lot on like the food shows and stuff on TV. It seems like this is one of the hot new peppers that a lot of people are cooking with. Most often you see them done as kind of a roasted pepper, as kind of a like an appetizer thing. So it'll be interesting to see how these are. Again, this is Baker Creek again. So we're gonna get our seeds out of there. Put them right in. Go. And we'll cover these up. I'm just using a toothpick. In fact, I use the toothpick kind of open the hole up on these peat pellets once they get expanded from the water. And they come in just a little flat pellet, but once you put the water in and they expand into these little peat pots almost, and you can actually just plant these direct into the ground, or if you're going to transplant them into a bigger pot before you get out into the ground, you can do that as well. The webbing around it that holds it together will all deteriorate out in the garden. All right, and here's the last one. So this one's coming from Pine Tree, and these are sweet red cherry peppers. So a few things about the sweet red cherries is, one, I don't see a lot of these in our fair, so this is another good fair entry. And then secondly, they're really good like stuffed with a cheese or something like that, or if you pickle them. Sometimes you see them on charcuterie trays and things like that. So we'll put these in. There's our 5 seeds. I probably will grow other peppers in the garden as well. Again, these are just ones that I don't think I'm going to find in the garden centers. So plant these so that we have a pretty good variety. Regular green peppers, things like that, I'll probably get from a garden center somewhere, maybe jalapenos, some of the more common peppers. So that is it. All we're going to do is put the cover on this, and like I said, we're going to put it down in our grow area, which has got a heat mat down there and a light over it. And then we will probably get pepper sprouting in 10 to 14 days, something like that. At the same time we're doing these though, I'm going to do a couple little pots of some leeks. And leeks are about the same thing. You should start them. This says 50 to 60 days before their last frost. So I think this is probably a good time for this too. But these came from Mountain Valley Seed Company, which is part of TrueLeafMarket.com. And this one is called Leek Large American Flag. History, it says, leeks date back to the time of the ancient Egyptians. Leeks created a tasty pearl white bulb with huge green leaves. They have a delicate onion flavor that makes them a favorite in soups, stews, and salads. Perfect for the home garden and market grower. Wow, these are, that is a very dark seed. And this is my first time growing leeks. Well, from seed. I think we got some starts a couple years ago. We grew some leeks in the garden, but this will be my first time actually trying from seed. And I'm gonna sow these kind of thick in here. Leeks and onions are pretty forgiving, so if you can get them going, even if it's a little bit thick, the plants will separate perfectly when it comes time to plant them out. They have pretty strong root systems and are a pretty hardy plant altogether. So I don't even know how many I'm putting in these 2 pots, but a few. Now these, because I don't have a top for these, I'm going to put a little bit of saran wrap or something like that, some kind of plastic wrap over the top to keep the moisture in until they sprout. Put a couple more in there. I'm just sprinkling these on the top, and then I'm going to go through with this toothpick and just kind of stir them up and get them underground there, under the top. You don't have to plant them too deep. All right, so we'll get this covered up. We'll get the peppers downstairs as well. We're gonna put them down on the heat pad. They're gonna sprout. We'll get the lights on them, and then hopefully we've got all kinds of plants here started already. And again, it's March 2nd today, and it happens to be one of the good days of the month this month to do your planting. So once we get it all up, and the plants start to come up, we'll bring you back and show you what we got.